drawbacks. So now maybe I'll just open up the floor for your comments, and I'll collate your feedback and direction, and then staff will take that in consideration for a presentation on the final options that we want to consider.
Alderman Winger.
The first option, you mentioned the fee to store at Morton, or other, companies. Right now it's Morton. Can that be on an as-needed basis? Or is it literally we'd sign up for it and you'd have to use it or lose it each year? And just a ballpark on what the storage would cost.
Go ahead.
I wish I had a solid answer for you on that. I don't want to be in a habit of giving you information I'm not certain of. All I'm certain of is that communities are all in the same boat and looking to offer the same thing. So they are in control of the rate that they will establish for us. I think the saving grace could be if we made an agreement with them that we would, in a long-term arrangement, buy more salt from Morton in the future. They may provide some sort of a discount. But we'd want to temper that decision with whether or not that is in our best interest to seek that discount through a long-term arrangement of purchasing salt with them.
Okay, so just as a follow-up on my part, that I would go to that route first, just to see what we can work out with them, even if we do sign up for additional years, that sort of thing, that it's well worth looking at that and first exploring that. Thanks.
When do we have to take delivery of the salt?
I have the agreement here with me tonight. If you'd like, I can seek that answer out, or if I can offer that to you in another
April
time.
30th.
April 30th?
We have to take all the salt by April 30th.
Okay. And at this point, right now, how much can we receive?
None.
At this point, we no longer have any space, but if it snows tomorrow, and it snows Sunday, and it snows next week, we will slowly make room for that, of course.
So,
May I'll share in here.
Sure.
I will, and you probably didn't highlight on it. Last year, we stored our salt over in Itasca Salt Dome, and that was a godsend to us that they had one built. They took it. And while I'm on that subject, could you make sure we send them a letter thanking them for letting us store it there from last year? We have moved all the salt out at Itasca now.
we've been using that first.
We have empty Itasca Salt Dome. We have none over there right now. As of the other day, normally snowfall, let me check my notes here. Normal snowfall, we dump on the street about 40 tons. That is 6 trucks on a normal snowfall every time. Obviously, with the ice storm, and I'll back up there, another thing, Rich, I'd like to commend your people for handling that ice storm the way we did. I think they did it. So if you send them a letter thanking them for their hard work on that. So back to yours. All right. So right now we have empty Itasca. We did 2 ice storms. At one time we had, if I ain't mistaken, correct me if I'm right, 1,100 tons that we had to take at one time. We have received 8 truckloads now. Go ahead.
Well, of 1,300, 80% of 1,300 is actually 1,040 tons, right? So if you subtract 829 from the 1,040, that would give you
Right, we
the
took 8
result.
trucks.
Yeah, it's 220
Right, we took
tons
8
or whatever it
truckloads
is.
so far. No, we took 8 truckloads from Morton right now that we had delivered. Okay. We have used everything that we had from last year. We are now into the Morton salt that we are committed to take. Okay? Which is 11, whatever. And now we still have to, after taking delivery from Morton, we still have 829 tons, .27, or 21 left. So that's where we are with the salt right now. Go ahead.
How much can we store on our own?
Roughly, I don't know, could you answer that? If not, I got it. Go ahead. How much could we store on our site, in our property?
On our site, we can store anywhere between 200 and 400 when we really cram things into every available nook and cranny that we have. 200 to 400. If you can imagine a storage area that has gravel and sand and topsoil and things that we need throughout the year, in main breaks and things like that. So what we could do is move half of that material out and store it in another location and get 400 total tons maximum onto the existing public works site.
But we would have to find another location for all that sand and all that soil, so
Correct.
we're going to have to find another location for that. But right now, I don't know.
Well, I mean, if it's not,
It's in a floodplain though. I don't know what the restrictions are. Go ahead.
yeah.
As I said earlier, we could store some there, but it would be less than 200 tons
No, he's
at the
talking about
commercial property.
He's
Moving
the sand and
over
dirt.
to commercial.
If you read option number 2 here, that's what we intended to do. We would take some of the existing sand and gravel and move that from the existing public works facility over to the commercial property, which would free up some of that area to put salt in. And then we can also move a small amount of salt at the commercial property as well.
Go ahead.
Okay, so if we did that, if we moved all our sand over there, we can accept 200 tons more in that spot?
If we can accommodate some material at the commercial property, whatever we can get into the commercial property would free up space at the public works facility, and that I am estimating at 200 tons. So at the end of the day, we would be able to hold 400 tons total at the public works facility.
Right.
But
And we're
we
sitting
have-
with how much right now?
One more time.
How much salt are we sitting at Public Works right now? 200 tons, you said?
200 tons right now.
Okay, so we can accept 200 tons more,
Yes.
plus whatever else we could fit at commercial. If we move the sand over at commercial, you're saying that we still might have some room over there, plus what you have where the sand used to be.
Let me see if I can simplify this a little
Okay.
bit. Okay. If we do all the things that we just talked about, okay, I'm estimating that we still would have a need for over 600 tons of storage space. Correct. So after shifting all the things around that we just discussed, I would still estimate over 600 tons would require storage someplace else. Again, I think more analysis is needed at the commercial property to really truly understand whether or not we can do that effectively. So there needs to be more analysis. But if that could happen, as we just discussed, we're still in need of 600 tons surplus to store as well.
Long and short of it, we need a lot of snow.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. I mean, figure 40 tons, we need to have 10 more snowstorms.
Okay.
Okay,
That's,
thank you.
Alderman Roy Wesley.
Alderman Lazare, I appreciate your comments for 10 more snowstorms, but I really don't want it. Rich, we talked earlier this week about some other properties. Did you check into those other ones that had that was an empty lot? Yeah. Let me go on with this and then you could get all my questions here. With all these, the commercial buildings being empty, businesses, I'm sure we could find something, an empty, property that went into foreclosure or that's an empty building that we could store the salt in the back of our building or whatever and pay some rent that way if that's not, did anyone, something to look at that, for the temporary thing? I'm sure we have some properties that are foreclosures and I'm sure the banks rather get something than nothing.
The city staff has had the opportunity to look at 3 specific parcels of property. I think the type of guidance that we would want to seek is, are we looking for a temporary solution, or is it time for us to look for a more long-term solution?
And in spite what you just said, and you only had a week, did you get any prices for a salt dome?
I have prices for sprung structure. Sprung structure is a fabric-based structure that sits on top of a concrete piers, and those have a tendency to be more affordable than the salt domes that you see more commonly roadside. But what you see in terms of a salt dome roadside is more permanent, and you know it says that this property is going to be a salt dome for a long, long time. But you build that because they're more expensive because they are there for a long time. So I guess the answer to your question is yes, I know what those cost, you know, for a temporary structure and for a permanent structure.
But-
And
Could I go?
Go ahead.
Now, you just mentioned temporary. And you're saying that the property that we own already is in a flood zone. Could we put a partial, we can't put it there for a temporary thing either? Even though it's in a flood zone?
Go ahead.
there are 3 ways to store salt. There is what I'll call a very, very temporary structure, which is concrete blocks, salt gets dumped in it, and then plastic gets put over the top. That's very temporary.
Mm-hmm.
Sprung structure is a temporary building that you could either rent or purchase, and that is intended to be maybe 5 or 10 years worth of storage. And then obviously the third option is a 30-year structure that is a permanent salt dome. And again, each one of those options gives you longevity, and with longevity comes cost.
Okay. Do we have room in our metro parking lot for a temporary structure over there too?
I can't answer that, I don't know.
Don't look at me, he's the chairman.
Chief, maybe you would know that far east end of that train station parking lot, I mean, if we get in a bind, do you know if that's full all the way to the end, to the far east end?
No.
You know what I'm talking about?
It isn't.
Generally isn't.
Yeah, no, that, about half of that maybe at the max fills up. There's considerable room over there. Whether we'd be allowed to or we can do it, that's another story. But yeah, there is space over there.
What do you mean allowed? We maintain the parking lot.
The environmental stuff, I'm not gonna get into
Oh,
that.
okay.
Go ahead.
Any property that we choose, obviously, we have to put it through the floodplain analysis. And again,
What?
commercial has a small component of it that is not in the floodplain. So we could use that small component, but it doesn't do a great deal to help us.
Okay. So here we have here. Mr. Woods, you have anything?
No, this is riveting.
Okay. So we need to give him some directions, because if you really look at it, we are down to the crunch time here. We have 3 months to find out what we're going to do with 829 tons of salt and 21. So my question is, and what are we going to recommend that staff focuses on their time on these options for they can move forward more on those options and back down on some of these other options, so. Mr. Wood, go ahead, Mr. Woods.
Did we discussed it, did we talk to the fire department to see if we could store in that fenced-in area they have?
I met with the assistant chief. They have that area committed for the fire district within the fence line,
For what?
fire district operations.
So that's a no.
That's a no.
As far as the Metra comment for the Metra parking lot, I mean, we just redid that parking lot. I would rule that out, sending trucks through there and dumping, what's the number? 826.27 tons?
Well, here it's only 600, because we're only obligated for 80%.
No, we obligated for 829.
That's what we're obligated.
829 is the 20%.
Yeah,
We need to take a,
That's the 80%.
yeah,
yeah.
Mr. Mertz.
It's the long-standing soap opera, the Salt Dome. I know it's been discussed long before I was here, and it keeps getting discussed. Obviously, we need to figure out that long-term scenario that's quite difficult. In the short term, though, just tonight, we just want some clarification. All the options are still desirable to be looked at, like the Morden Salt, separate properties, things like that. Those are all still on the table, or do you want us to take any of these off the table?
No, my opinion, I want every option, but the point is, we aren't going to sit up here another 2 months and keep hashing this out. And then come April, I got 29 semis pulling up at the city garage, and we have nowhere to go with it that we have to take. My option is move forward and find something. I mean, I don't care what it is, find something. It's there.
The temporary solution you were talking about with the stone and the tarp, that land that's by the fire district over there, by the fire department, between them and the township salt dome, is that all township or all fire department? And how high would this pile be? I mean,
Go ahead.
I think that you would expect a 10-foot high pile of salt on that particular parcel because of how it would need to be configured. So it would be, you know, let's call it 50 by 50 by 10, something along those lines. And I don't have that calculated out, but I think that's what you could expect.
Okay. Just so you guys know, I don't know if you guys drove down 83 there in Elmhurst, off of Elmhurst at their treatment plant. I did talk to the Elmhurst street department director over there on how much that costs for that thing that they have up there. Back in 2001, they paid $22,000 for it. That big, long chute. And it was 50 by 80 feet, 50 by 80 feet long. But they put $8,000 into their own time of putting the walls up and asphalt in their parking lot. But they have put 6-foot walls up to keep it in play. That option you could look into. If I ain't mistaken, we would have to go back and look. I believe someone made a comment about by the salt dome by the county, that's behind our well station 7's house. You know, by the firehouse. I don't know if you're aware of that. I think we own a big stretch of that because we mow the lawn over there. So we need to look at that. But the point is, what bothers me about that going there is if that soaks into the ground and we just dump it on grass like that, how is that going to affect the well station over there? I don't know in that correspondence. So, but
I think I'll paraphrase Alderman Woods. I mean, we'll have to stay tuned for some more riveting conversation. The game plan would be that we'd have these final numbers and some cost-benefit analysis, hopefully by the February 28th committee. So we'll get a couple weeks to get it all together, present the options, and we should still have enough
Okay.
time. Maybe it'll snow a lot by then, we don't know.
Okay. That's fine. All right, anything else on that, salt dome? Or salt storage? Item to consider future meetings. Driveway, replacement, February 14th. Anything else? I already gave my compliments halfway through. Anything else? All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries.